Life is a battle, not just one, but many. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the real question isn't how many times you fall. The real question is, how many times do you rise again? Think about a boxer in the ring. He gets knocked down. His opponent smirks. The crowd roars. Some cheer, some doubt. But then, a voice inside him whispers, "Get up! This is not the end of your story." And when he rises again, he doesn't just fight for himself. He fights for everyone who believes in him. Every person faces failure at some point. Some fail in their careers, some in relationships, some while chasing their dreams. But the true winners aren't those who never fall. They are the ones who refuse to stay down. Steve Jobs was thrown out of his own company, but he rose again and built the greatest tech empire. Michael Jordan was rejected from his high school basketball team, but he rose again and became the king of the game. This video is for those who feel defeated, for those who think they've lost everything, for those who believe there's no way forward. This video will show you that falling is not the problem. Staying down is. If you decide to rise again, nothing can stop you. So if you feel broken, if you feel like giving up, don't. Because the time has come to rise again. Life is a race. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you fall behind. Sometimes the world cheers for you, and sometimes it forgets you. But those who stand up after every fall are the ones who leave their mark on history. Imagine your life as a movie. Every great movie has a turning point. The hero always faces a setback, but he doesn't give up. He rises again. And when he does, the whole world watches in awe. Do you think the most successful people made it just because they were talented? No. They succeeded because they never gave up. When life knocked them down, they chose to rise again. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. People said, "You failed 1,000 times." But Edison replied, "I haven't failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that don't work." J.K. Rowling, now one of the most successful authors in history, had her first novel rejected by 12 publishers. People told her she wasn't good enough. But she rose again and gave the world Harry Potter. If these people had given up after failing, the world wouldn't even remember them today. But they understood one thing: life rewards those who fight back. Today, there are people feeling lost, depressed, and hopeless. They think failure is the end of their journey. But the truth is, only those who keep going, even after falling, truly win in life. In this video, we'll share the stories of people who refused to give up, who stood back up after every failure, and who proved to the world that nothing is impossible if you decide to rise again. So if you're struggling, if you feel like everything is falling apart, this video is for you. Because now is the time to rise again. In the early 1950s, an old man with white hair and a white suit knocked on restaurant doors, carrying nothing but a recipe for fried chicken. His name was Harlan Sanders, and the world would later know him as Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. But before he became a legend, he faced failure after failure, 1,009 rejections to be exact. Harlan was not born rich. He lost his father at a young age, dropped out of school in 7th grade, and worked multiple jobs: farmhand, steamboat pilot, insurance salesman, and even a gas station operator. But no matter what he did, life kept knocking him down. At the age of 40, he started a small restaurant in Kentucky where he served his special fried chicken recipe. People loved it. His restaurant was doing well, but just when things seemed stable, a new highway was built, diverting all traffic away from his restaurant. His business collapsed, and he was forced to shut it down. He had lost everything. At an age when most people retire, Colonel Sanders refused to give up. With nothing but a Social Security check of $105 in his pocket, he decided to start again. He packed up his few belongings and traveled from town to town, trying to sell his fried chicken recipe to restaurants. But rejection came again and again. 1,009 times, restaurant owners slammed the door in his face. Some laughed at him. Some told him he was too old to start a business. Most simply ignored him. But he kept going. Then, on his 1,010th attempt, a small restaurant finally agreed to try his recipe. The customers loved it. Word spread, and soon, more restaurants started using his secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. KFC was born. By the time Colonel Sanders was 73 years old, KFC had grown into a billion-dollar company with over 600 franchises worldwide. The man who had once been rejected 1,009 times had now become a global icon. What's the lesson here? Had Colonel Sanders given up after the first 100 rejections, or even the 500th, the world would have never known KFC. But he refused to stay down. He rose again after every failure. So, if you're struggling, if you feel like life has knocked you down, remember Colonel Sanders. You're never too old, too late, or too broken to succeed. All you need to do is rise again. Imagine a young boy standing outside a basketball court, tears in his eyes, his dreams crushed. That boy was Michael Jordan, the man who would later become the greatest basketball player of all time. But before he became a legend, he faced a heartbreaking rejection that almost made him quit. Michael Jordan grew up loving basketball. He played for hours every day, dreaming of making it to his high school varsity team. He believed he was good enough. But when the team selection list was posted, his name wasn't there. His own coach had cut him from the team because he wasn't good enough or tall enough. Can you imagine that? The greatest basketball player in history was once told that he wasn't even good enough to play for his high school team. That moment could have broken him. He could have accepted defeat and walked away. But Michael refused to stay down. That night, he went home and cried in his room. But instead of giving up, he made a decision. He would rise again. The next day, he started practicing harder than ever. Every rejection, every failure, and every moment of doubt became fuel for his determination. He trained for hours and hours, perfecting his shots, his speed, and his strength. By the next year, he had improved so much that the same coach who had cut him had no choice but to put him on the team. And from that moment, there was no stopping him. Michael Jordan went on to win 6 NBA championships, 5 MVP awards, and become the greatest player in basketball history. He turned his rejection into his biggest motivation. He once said, "I have failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." If Michael Jordan had given up after that first rejection, the world would have never known his greatness. But he rose again, and in doing so, he changed the game forever. So, if you've been rejected, if someone told you, "You're not good enough," don't believe them. Prove them wrong. Rise again, and show the world who you truly are. In 1993, a single mother sat in a small cafe in Edinburgh, Scotland, scribbling stories on napkins while her baby slept beside her. She had no job, no money, and no support. She was living on government welfare, struggling to feed her child. That woman was J.K. Rowling, the creator of Harry Potter, the best-selling book series in history. But before she became one of the world's most successful authors, life knocked her down again and again. Rowling's dream was to become a writer, but life had other plans. Her mother passed away when she was just 25, leaving her heartbroken. Soon after, she married, hoping for happiness, but her marriage ended in divorce within a year. With a newborn baby in her arms, she found herself completely alone, battling depression and living in poverty. She once said, "I was the biggest failure I knew." With nothing left to lose, Rowling poured all her pain and struggles into writing. She created a world of magic, of hope, of resilience. She created Harry Potter. After years of hard work, she finally finished the first book and sent it to publishers, hoping for a chance. One after another, 12 publishers rejected her manuscript. They said, "Kids won't read such a long book. This story is too weird." And, "It won't sell." Can you imagine? 12 times, she was told her dream wasn't worth it. 12 times, she could have given up. But she didn't. She believed in her story, and she refused to let rejection define her. Finally, on her 13th attempt, a small publishing house, Bloomsbury, gave her a chance. Even then, they warned her, "Don't expect to make money from children's books." But the world had other plans. When Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was released, it became an instant hit. The book series went on to sell over 500 million copies, was translated into 80-plus languages, and turned into one of the biggest movie franchises in history. Today, J.K. Rowling is a billionaire, but more importantly, she rose again from the depths of failure and despair to inspire millions. What's the lesson here? Had J.K. Rowling given up after the first rejection, or the second, or the 12th, we would have never known the magic of Harry Potter. But she refused to stay down. So, if life has knocked you down, if you feel like a failure, remember this: your story isn't over yet. Rise again and create your own magic. Today, Elon Musk is one of the richest and most influential people in the world. He is the mastermind behind Tesla, SpaceX, and several groundbreaking companies. But what most people don't know is that his journey to success was filled with failures, bankruptcy, and near collapse. From a tough childhood to big dreams. Elon Musk was born in South Africa and had a rough childhood. He was bullied in school so badly that once, he was beaten unconscious. But instead of letting pain break him, he turned to books and science, dreaming of changing the world. At 17, he left for America with almost nothing. No money, no family support, just a dream. He worked hard, sometimes sleeping on the floor of his office, surviving on $1 meals while building his first company. Eventually, he co-founded PayPal, which was later sold to eBay for $1.5 billion. With this success, most people would have retired, but Musk was just getting started, risking everything and losing it all. Instead of keeping his money, Musk invested every single dollar into his new dreams: Tesla, electric cars, and SpaceX, space travel. But these were extremely risky industries, and soon, both companies were on the edge of collapse. SpaceX tried to launch rockets into space, but their first 3 launches failed. Each rocket cost millions of dollars, and every failure pushed Musk closer to bankruptcy. Automobile Tesla also struggled. The company had major production issues, investors lost faith, and Musk himself admitted he was weeks away from running out of money. He was so broke that he had to borrow money just to pay rent. This was the lowest point of his life. Everything he had built was falling apart. His businesses were dying, and the world was laughing at him. But Musk refused to give up. The miracle comeback. With his last remaining funds, Musk took one final risk. He launched SpaceX's fourth rocket. If it failed, his dream would be over. And then, success. Rocket. The rocket made it to orbit, and NASA, watching closely, immediately offered SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract. At the same time, Tesla managed to secure a major investment, saving the company from collapse. In just a few years, both companies became global giants. Today, Tesla is the most valuable car company in the world, and SpaceX is revolutionizing space travel. Musk could have quit after his first failure, or his second, or his third. He was ridiculed, told his dreams were impossible, and was on the verge of total failure. But he refused to stay down. He rose again, and in doing so, he changed the world. So if you're struggling, if you feel like your dreams are slipping away, remember Elon Musk. No matter how bad things get, if you rise again, you can achieve the impossible. Today, Oprah Winfrey is one of the most successful and powerful women in the world. She is a billionaire, a media mogul, and a global inspiration. But before she became a legend, life knocked her down again and again. A childhood of pain and struggle. Oprah was born into extreme poverty in Mississippi, USA. She was raised by a single teenage mother and lived in a small house with no electricity, no running water, and barely enough food. Her early years were filled with struggles no child should ever face. She was abused, mistreated, and told by the world that she would never amount to anything. But even in those dark times, she had a dream to be on television. Failures and rejections. Oprah worked hard to build her career. She got her first job as a news anchor, but instead of encouragement, she faced brutal rejection. One day, her boss called her into his office and told her, "You are not fit for television." She was fired from her job. Can you imagine? The woman who would later become the biggest name in television was once told she was not good enough for TV. At that moment, she could have given up. She could have believed her boss and walked away from her dreams. But Oprah refused to stay down. The comeback. Instead of quitting, she rose again. She took a job hosting a small talk show, and within months, she transformed it into a massive success. That small show became the Oprah Winfrey Show, which ran for 25 years and became the most watched talk show in history. Oprah didn't just become a television star. She became a billionaire, a philanthropist, and a symbol of hope and resilience. Oprah could have believed the people who doubted her. She could have let poverty, pain, and rejection stop her. But instead, she rose again, and in doing so, she inspired millions. So, if life has pushed you down, if people have told you, "You're not good enough," don't listen to them. Rise again. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Thomas Edison. Today, we take electric light for granted. But there was a time when the world was dark, and one man dedicated his life to bringing light to the world, Thomas Edison. But before he became one of the greatest inventors in history, Edison failed more times that anyone could imagine. A childhood of struggle. Edison was not a brilliant student. In fact, his teacher told him he was too stupid to learn anything. Instead of giving up, Edison's mother pulled him out of school and taught him at home. As he grew older, he dreamed of inventing something that would change the world, the electric light bulb. But this was not easy. Edison and his team spent years trying to create a working light bulb. They experimented with thousands of different materials, but every single one failed. One day, a reporter asked him, "How does it feel to fail 10,000 times?" Edison smiled and replied, "I did not fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that won't work." Finally, after years of failure, Edison created the first successful electric light bulb, an invention that changed the world forever. Most people would have quit after 10 failures, 100 failures, maybe even 1,000 failures. But Edison failed 10,000 times and still refused to give up. And because he kept going, today, we live in a world lit up by his invention. So if you're struggling, if you feel like you've failed too many times, remember Edison. Failure is not the end. It's just another step on the road to success. Rise again. Life is not a straight road. It's a battlefield. It will knock you down, break you, and make you feel like giving up. But remember this, failure is not the end, rejection is not your limit, and pain is not permanent. Every great person who changed the world, Michael Jordan, J.K. Rowling, Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, Thomas Edison, all of them faced failure, rejection, and defeat. But they didn't stay down. They rose again. And now, it's your turn. Maybe you've faced rejections in life. Maybe you've tried something and failed. Maybe you feel like nothing is working and you are stuck. But let me tell you something. This is not the end of your story. Think about this. Light bulb, what if Thomas Edison had stopped after 1,000 failures? Basketball, what if Michael Jordan had accepted that he wasn't good enough? Open book, what if J.K. Rowling had quit after the first publisher rejected her? We wouldn't have light bulbs, basketball legends, or the magic of Harry Potter. The world would have missed out on greatness. And now, ask yourself, what if you quit today? What if you walk away from your dreams right before success? The truth is, you are one step away from your breakthrough. You don't even know how close you are. But you'll only find out if you rise again. Fire, stand up one more time. Fire, push harder one more time. Fire, believe in yourself one more time. Because the difference between those who succeed and those who fail is one simple thing, the courage to try again. So no matter how hard life gets, no matter how many times you fall, rise again. Because your greatest victory might be just one more step away.